Hey guys, Pat LaFemin here at Bowsite.com, and I'm here to review the new 2015 Mathews No Cam HTR. I got to tell you, when this first hit, that Mathews had created a bow with no cams, everybody was just kind of taken back, right? Just blown away by the innovation and kind of a, let's just say, gutsy move on their part. You know, they're known for their solo cams. I mean, that's, you know, it's part of their brand, right? And they're known for some extremely advanced cam designs that store a lot of energy and, you know, very high performance. So this was quite a departure for them, and I was immediately intrigued as to why they would come up with something, you know, a design like this. And I knew there had to be something to it, and I think I figured out why that is. I got to tell you, and we're going to get into all the aspects of this bow, like the draw cycle, the feel, the hand shock, you know, the how quiet it is. We're going to get into all that stuff. There's one aspect of this bow that is more important than any aspects. In fact, it's probably more important than all the aspects combined, and that's how accurate it is. This bow, in my hands, is by far the most accurate bow I've ever shot. It is unbelievably accurate. And let me tell you a story. My two sons had walked behind me and were watching me shoot. So I shoot and I hit an absolute dead center bullseye on the target. The target next to it had a deer on it, his little deer face. And that particular target, they said, hey, shoot the left eye in that deer. And we're talking about something about the size of a dime, right? I hit that left eye dead center. And they said, whoa. They said, shoot the right eye. Shoot the right eye dead center. And my 17-year-old looks at me and goes, wow, Dad, you've come a long way. Your accuracy is incredible with that bow. Now, anybody with a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old knows that to get a compliment from them is probably harder than shooting the next world record whitetail, so I'll take that all day long. The first thing I want to talk about, the first aspect of the bow, is the draw cycle. It's unbelievable. The draw cycle on this, and I kind of expected that given the design, you know, the wheel design that they have. I expected to have a good draw cycle, but I didn't think it was going to be, you know, dramatically different than some of the previous bows, and it was. So unbelievable draw cycle. But there's an aspect of the draw cycle I want to talk about, and that's something that never gets any attention, and that is letting the bow down. Now, I'm 50 years old, and my shoulders aren't what they used to be. I've been shooting heavy bows for 35 years. And, you know, having to let down some of these new designs with the radical cams that store a tremendous amount of energy, you know, and you guys know what I'm talking about. When you let it down, it gets to a point where it just wants to pull your arm out of its shoulder. And that's not really good for guys like me that have shoulder issues. This was a pleasure. I had a deer that came into a food plot in New York, and it wasn't giving me the right angle. It was just, you know, it was being difficult. I had drawn back and it was only 15 yards, and I kind of waited for the right angle to materialize, and instead of getting better, it got worse. It started moving further away. So I had to let the bow down, and when I let the bow down in the tree stand, of course it was cold, it was like a day like today, letting the bow down in the tree stand, you know, it didn't yank my arm out. It was nice and smooth. It didn't create a violent action, and I really appreciated that. Again, it's not something that a lot of guys are testing or reviewing. It's just an aspect of the bow that I found, you know, quite nice, and certainly for guys like me and at my age bracket. Let's talk about the quietness and the hand shock. On the hand shock, this bow is about as dead can be. It is remarkably dead in my hand. Quiet, probably the most quiet bow I've shot in a long time, and that's right out of the box with no aftermarket devices to absorb, you know, the shot or any of that stuff. Very, very quiet, very dead in the hands. The balance of the bow is very good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I would say it's certainly acceptable. It tends to be a little bit top heavy. Again, just a very slight amount. But if this is part of the aspect that improves my accuracy, then I'll take that all day long. Again, you know, all of these different nuances to the bow, draw cycle, quietness, all that stuff, nothing makes a difference compared to accuracy. If you could pick up a bow and shoot the best you've ever shot, you know, that's the bow you need to come home with. So let's talk about hunting. So I couldn't wait to get the bow in a tree stand. Unfortunately, I didn't get the bow until late November, so it took me a while. First time I hunted it was, I think, right after Thanksgiving. and I went to my favorite spot here in Connecticut, a spot that I'm very successful at in the past, but I hadn't hunted it all year long. I hooked up the bow to the hoist rope. I looked at the hoist rope and it was a little bit, it didn't look like it was in prime condition. And I thought maybe I should go and replace it and pull out another one, but I got lazy and decided to climb the tree stand and pull the bow up anyways. And you guys know where this is going, right? I get this bow to the 22-foot mark of a 25-foot tree stand, and the hoist rope snaps. And I watch my brand new Mathews No Cam HTR fall all the way to the ground, 22 feet down, bounced a couple times. It landed like this. And I just figured, okay, well, that's it. I'm screwed, hunt's over, and now I need to go back to the pro shop and get it repaired. So I climbed down, picked up the bow, drew it back. It's absolutely perfect. I got no issues, and I was reluctant. I was worried that something was going to come apart on me, but it didn't. It was actually drew very nice. So then I walked back to my truck where I always keep a judo point, and I took a shot at a stump. I was absolutely dead center on. So this thing passed the 22-foot drop test. Hopefully I'll never do that again, but this bow did fine. So it took me a couple weeks to have a deer come in. I had a buck come in, and I just absolutely, boom, just smoked him. Absolutely perfect. Great shot, and buck went 50 yards and fell over dead. Following week, I had a doe come in with her fawn, and I did something in hindsight I really regretted. I took a shot that was very marginal. It was marginal in the fact that the angle was absolutely perfect on the doe, but she was pretty close to the fawn behind her. And, if I went a little bit high, I ran the risk of hitting the low part of, like the brisket of the fawn behind her. And I felt so confident because I had this bow that I took the shot. And, I pulled back, and I had a window about the size of a grapefruit. And not only did I hit the grapefruit, but I shot the center of that grapefruit, missed the deer behind it, and absolutely shot exactly where I needed to shoot in order to miss that deer behind it. And that doe that I shot went 70 yards and fell over dead just with a perfect heart shot. That's my second deer in a week with the No Cam. Let me talk about that accuracy for a second, because this is really something that intrigued me. And I wanted to see the flight of my arrows, not only just with this particular pile driver 350, but I wanted to see how it did on the Maxima Reds and in some of the other arrows that I shoot. What I was noticing is that even with varying arrows and even a couple different spine groups, I had dramatically straight arrow flight, very, very dramatic arrow flight. Now, there is a little known thing, and I'm going to get a little geeky on you guys, but there's an aspect of bow tuning, or the whole physics and the mechanics behind a bow. It's called knock travel, and that is when you release your string. If this thing is traveling nice and level and plumb, it actually can help your arrow flight, and it can actually help absorb and create a forgiving setup for your arrow, so that way you're not magnifying problems in your form or problems with your release. And I think that is the reason why I'm so dramatically accurate with this bow. At the end of the day, who cares why it is? It is. I shoot it accurately. I shoot it the most accurate I've ever shot a bow, and that's all that matters to me. Now, forget what I've just said. Forget all the things that, how much I like this bow or how accurate I am, because really the only thing that matters is how accurate is it in your hands. And your results may be completely different than mine. There's only one way to find out, and that's to go to a pro shop, find a Mathews dealer, have them set you up a No Cam HTR, and then try it and see if you experience the same results that I did. Give it a shot, go to your pro shop, and I think you're going to like it.